Miss Lana Del Rey. Basically, she's getting a lot of heat right now. But I will say this, I do have a lot of respect of Lana Del Rey. I do have respect over her for, she's one of the few mainstream artists that I really do think that have a lot of potential, a lot of talent. Not to mention that she, in one interview, says that feminism, in her opinion, is boring, and I do applaud her for that. Despite what other feminists think of her and what my viewpoints are, thinking that, oh, we're both contradicting her. Well, whatever, fuck that shit. But that's not the topic. The topic is in what she's getting a lot of heat over. So, in a recent interview with The Garden, she wished that she was dead already, during a conversation about her musical heroes Kurt Cobain and Amy Winehouse. When the reporter suggested that she'd not say things like she wished she was dead, Del Rey countered, "But I do. I don't want to have to keep doing this, but I am." As expected, those comments raised a few eyebrows, and one person who reacted strongly to Del Rey's comments was, of course, Kurt Cobain's daughter, Frances Bean Cobain, who reached out to the singer on Twitter in a series of tweets. And she said this in her tweets: "Lana Del Rey, the death of young musicians isn't something to romanticize. I never knew my father because he died young, and it becomes a desirable feat because people like you think it's cool. Well, it's fucking not. Embrace life, because you only get one life. The people you mentioned wasted that life. Don't be one of those people." And you know what? I agree with Frances Bean Cobain. I can congratulate Kurt Cobain for two things: for bringing us Nirvana and for producing a really gorgeous daughter. But aside from Frances Bean's looks, she does have a point. Musicians who die young, it's not that something to romanticize about. Take, for instance, and I know I'm going to bring him up, Mitch Lucker. Mitch Lucker made it a very irrational decision to drive drunk on a motorcycle, and look what happened to him. He left behind a daughter, he left behind a humongous fan base that apparently thinks that he is a martyr and are saying, "Oh my god, Mitch Lucker, you're our hero!" No! No, that's not even cool! Romanticizing about him being a hero is not even cool at all as well. Mitch Lucker made... Now, I will say this, Mitch Lucker, he was a very talented vocalist. I will say that. He inspired me to do vocals. But he did make a very irrational decision. He left behind a family, he left behind a humongous fan base as confused on his death, plus he left behind a bunch of friends and his bandmates. Also, I want to mention, we told VT Celtica from Decapitated, he was a young prodigy of drumming. A very talented drummer. And he was taken too soon after an accident which his tour bus collided with a Russian log truck, and it basically severely damaged his head. And that killed him. And he left behind his bands, his humongous fan base, plus he also left behind a young family as well. There's nothing glorifying, there's nothing romanticized about dying young. But oh wait, Atticus, the death metaler, you're contradicting yourself. You listen to death metal and it glorifies death. Okay, I can see where you're going through. I can see what you're saying. But let me counter argue on this thing. Lana Del Rey, an obituary, all right? One is very popular, one is very mainstream amongst everyone in the world, and the other doesn't get a lot of recognition. Can you guess which one is much more influential? Ding, 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 ding! That's right! Lana Del Rey is much more influential than Obituary. You can say all you want about death metal glorifying death and violence, but no, it is not that influential. And of course I had to bring up Obituary because it's just, in my opinion, Obituary is one of the most overlooked death metal bands of the subgenre. I will say that. It's either, you know, them, Hacksaw, Sinister, or Massacre. But, you know, there's a ton of other Florida death metal bands that are very unrecognized. But the thing is, Lana Del Rey. Well, I do admire you for your singing voice. I do admire you for a lot of things you said. But no, I cannot agree with you in glorifying musicians dying young. What Francis Bean Cobain said was right. You can't glorify death at a young age when in fact you have a fan base who looks up to you and is most of them are very influential and very naive people. So they're going to say, hey, if Lana Del Rey says die young, I'm going to die young. You see what I'm trying to say here? So no, don't say that. Embrace life more. Okay? So, I'm Atticus the Death Metaler. Hope you like this video. Subscribe to my channel. Links are on the description below. Keep it metal. Have a wonderful day.